Check, 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 check. Check. Check, 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 check. Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Check, 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 check. Hey, can you check, 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 check. Crispy, flaky, buttery crust. Check, 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 check. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Check, 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 check. 1 2 1 2. What's that? Check, check, check. Check, check, check. 1 2 1 2. Is the other one off? It is? This is all from this mic. What in the world? One, two, one, two. No, okay. That didn't solve it. Check, 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 check. Hello, this sounds pretty good. No feedback so far. There we go. There we are. My old friend feedback. Yep. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. Is it speaker? Wait. Move the speakers? Point directly back. Okay. Could you do that? Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. Check one, two, one, two. Check, check, check. One, two, one, two. Check, 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 check. One, two, one, two. Check, 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 check. Hi, hi, hi. Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Hey, hey, this is pretty good. I'm happy. I'm happy. Things are going well. I think this is the longest it's not fed back. There's it wants to. It wants to, but it hasn't yet. Oh, I can feel it wanting to. Check, 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 check. What about we have goes. We have a whole set of road goes. Check, 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 check. Woo, woo. Check, 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 check.
Check, check, check.
Check, 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 check. No, check, 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 check. One, two, one, two. Check, 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 check. One, two, one. Hey, there's something. There's something. Absolutely. It's a little low, but yeah. Okay. Check, 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 check. This is not feeding back. I ask a little bit. It is. It is a little bit. Yeah. We're so close. Yeah. 99% isn't good enough. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's further away. Yeah. What if we tried the goes? The road goes. Check, check, check. It's so close. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's something. It's a little low, but that's something. If we just speak closer to the mic, that's this feels like it's working. I'm not hearing it. Oh, okay, 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 okay. This is good. Mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. Oh, almost, almost. If we keep it a little low and everybody's like just listening, pay, intently, as it were. This is working. This is working. This is working. Okay. Yeah. Check. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Because I think this might be. Mm, it's Yeah. 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 Hello. 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 Could you bring me some? Yeah. I'm dying. Check. 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 I don't know. Check. 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 1 2 1 2. Check. 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 1 2 1 2. Check. Check. I mean, I mean, I mean, you know. Oh, all the adapters on adapters. Check, check, check. XLR to quarter inch. It- does anybody have an XLR to quarter inch in their pocket? So Aaron's on his way over. Okay. So he just said until he gets here. Yeah. Okay. Check, 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 check. Yeah.
This is a mic check. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Feedback. Uh, mic check. Mic check. 1 2. Thank you for hello, hello, hello. No, 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 no. You gotta where it was. Yeah, that's mic check. 1 2. Welcome in, folks. 1 2. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Feedback. No, yeah. I mean, I would turn it down, but yeah, it'll work a little bit. Right there, I get the least amount of feedback. I'm not getting too much feedback right there. No, that's too low, my guy. Go up a little bit higher. Bring me up about 2 notches, maybe one more notch. The little bit lower, right there. That's the sweet spot. That right there is the sweet spot for this microphone. Yeah, yeah, I think that might be fine. Can you, Jeremy? I just spilled somebody's beer. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Somebody's beer just got spilled here on this table. Off to a bad start for real, huh? Nah, it's still getting too much feedback. Uh, no, all the mics are like muted except the one I'm using. But thanks for the advice. I appreciate that. That would be a potential issue. Hey, so homie over there, he's coming back with another potential adapter, which I think will fix the problem. Otherwise, this might be what we do. Yeah. What was that? Oh. Oh no. We need spill cleaning services to the ring. Again, spill cleaning services to the ring. We got a beer spill and alcohol spill on the ring. Oh, oh no. Oh yeah. No, no, you don't. Man, okay. I mean, look, this is what we got for now. Everybody be quiet. Microphone test. 1, 2, microphone test. Microphone test, 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 test. Hey, Jeremy, can you put the volume up a little bit on that speaker? Like just a tiny little bit, please. Give me a little bit more volume, a little bit more volume, a little bit more. I think a little more. I don't hear feedback. I changed one of the adapters. It's the other one. It's two, yeah, input number two. Hey, look, I changed the adapter on that. Put it down a little bit. Nope. Yeah, just go. I think right there. Yeah, right. Right. I keep it right there. We should be fine. Yeah. All right. Let's go. Hello. What's up? What? Where should I start emceeing from? Oh, from right here. I mean, this microphone cord is actually kind of. Seems a little weird to not address the crowd. Can I step back? Yeah. You know what? I'll be right back. Yeah, check, check. No, what's that?
Check, 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 check. Woo! Let's wait just 1 second. I'll invite you gentlemen up here in just a moment if you don't mind. Do we have everybody who was online waiting outside? Are they ready to come in? Yeah. Perfect. Take your time. No rush. Check, check, check. Yeah. Woo! Check, check. Woo! Let's do some chanting. I like the chanting idea. Let's go with that. I have an idea for a chant. Yeah. Should we get everybody pumped up? Who wants to get pumped up? Who's ready to go? How about a little cigarettes? Cigarettes, 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 cigarettes. Just kidding. I think we're ready to go. What are we doing here? We're good? All right, not yet. Hang on. Pierre, you got burdened over there. What's going on over there? I got lots of stuff happening. Is that Larry's book you got? Ready to go. We started with the cigarettes chant. How about that? Yeah. I got a little surprise for you holding on my shirt here too. So when we're ready to go, you just let me know. Oh, look at this guy. In the finest of PodConf attire. One more time. Where is Daniel? Daniel Modal, if you will. Daniel, paging Daniel Modal. We miss you. We love you. Please come back to the main event. Daniel Modal, can they hear us outside? They can't. That's that. Check, 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 check. Oh, do we ever find Daniel Modal? Daniel Modal. Are you guys setting me up? Is he going to come in here and body slam me or something? Is that what's going on? All right. I thought so. Ready for it. There will be no body slam for the guests of honor. None of that will be happening for sure. Yeah. Well, that's for later. That's for later in the evening activities. Yeah, we're trying to keep it as wholesome as possible. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. How much Bitcoin? How many sats? Let me think about that. Yeah. That's the spirit. Yeah. Switch to the other mic. Is anybody stepping on that cord, or is it just? No, that's all right, Zach. How dare he? How dare he? All right. Yeah, we'll do it to that chair. Zach, can I start with this one? It sounds a little bit better, I think. Yeah. You can still use this for the talk. Yeah. Looking fantastic, my friend up there. I know, ready. I think we're just waiting on what? Audio here? What are we waiting on? Check, check, check. Daniel Moto, ladies and gentlemen, he's back, everybody. Give him a round of applause. Give him an extra round of applause. Daniel, he's a man who does a lot of work behind the scenes. Great soul. Daniel, when we're ready to go, give me the go ahead. Check. Yeah, if this mic feels good, this feels nice. Yeah. Eric Casey's rant from yesterday. Yes, David Bailey loved that. He told me how much he loved that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I wish I had all that fresh off the top of the dome. Woo-hoo! Check, check. Jeremy Rubin. Whoa. Holy Lord. Wow. Okay. Let's go. Yeah. Now. Are we ready to rip or what? Yeah. I like it. We got a packed house. We like that.
Can you go up higher?
No. Oh yeah.
Looks like we got shots happening here. Are those shots compliant, ladies and gentlemen? This is the question.
Do you want me to get like people shots too, or just focus on them?
This is a tripod issue, not issue.
All right. Yeah.
So roaming, grab good shots of them in the audience, and that's it. And that's what you want from this camera?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. just want to get the legs balanced first.
I'm sorry for being late. I was trying to.
No problem. No problem.
Ah. Hey.
Good? Ready to go? Okay. For the people still, if we still got people outside, still some seats over here. Good. All right. Oh, we're closing the doors. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to rumble. Oh. I want to say, first of all, they didn't just let anybody up here to do this. They let the most credentialed journalists. These are my credentials, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody worry, I brought all of the credentials with me. Let's give a round of applause to Bitcoin, because it's the only place in the world where someone can introduce the Vice President of the United States in the morning on the Bitcoin Magazine live desk and be here at a dive bar in downtown Las Vegas introducing the Bugles podcast. Bitcoin! We love Bitcoin. And an extra special round of applause. That is my mother in the front row, who is the first person that ever told me to start writing about Bitcoin. Give her a round of applause. Obviously, we need to give a round of applause to Richard Greaser and Rod Palmer, the two, and Maggie Morris, who's here, the two. They put my credentials to shame. They've smoked more cigarettes than I can ever dream about. But we do need to get to the first spectacle for this evening, or the first panel for this evening. So this is going to be hosted by Dave Burns. We have Bitcoin Q&A, Zach Shapiro of the Bitcoin Policy Institute, the most compliant individuals in the Bitcoin space, none other than Rob Hamilton, as well as Morgan Richard. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Let's go.
Can we get these over? I think y'all can hear us, right? Testing. Those speak. Not we. I thought we were the speakers. I don't think it's working. Just for context, I went to the bar and I ordered Rob the worst whiskey that they had down there. Testing. Good panel. All right.
All right, everyone, thanks for coming out. We're here to talk about Bitcoin as peer-to-peer cash. And I'm going to ask a couple questions around the group, and yeah, hope to have a good time. All right. So to start, I got a couple economics-based questions. So to start, institutional tools like ETFs have Bitcoin scarcity, but not its peer-to-peer roots. Can NGU finance and freedom tech grow together, or does one crowd out the other? Morgan, why don't we start with you?
Bad boy up here. Hey. All right. So I want to start with what freedom is, because I think that there's a misunderstanding in the Bitcoin world. Often when we hear freedom, we hear, just do what I want, and everything's great, and I have this freedom money, and that's why I have Bitcoin. And the reality is that real freedom actually comes with a responsibility, and I'll give you an example so you know what I mean. So the reason why we have freedom to drive on the roads, right, is because there are rules on the roads. And the roads, let's say, are, if it's a two-way road, right, there's a divider in the middle that everyone respects, and people are able to get where they need to go because people stay on the right in America and on the left in other countries that don't know what they're doing. But there's rules, right? And therefore we can get where we're going, and we have the freedom actually to be able to accomplish it. And so if we think about freedom as one of these things where where it's only freedom and it doesn't come with responsibility, in fact, we can't actually achieve anything. And so why I want to bring this up with respect to Bitcoin is because Bitcoin actually not only gives us the freedom, but it also gives us that responsibility. And enables us to have freedom as a result of being able to give really good money to people so that they could do good things in society. To answer the rest of your question, though, about, I'm sorry, can you repeat the other part of it?
Can NGU finance and Freedom Tech grow together, or does one crowd out the other?
Yeah, so what my point here is basically that even if not everyone adopts Bitcoin, right? And that's not what I actually think is going to happen. I actually do think that at some point Bitcoin will be the global reserve currency. But even if that doesn't actually happen, right, we lift everybody up in society by having simply by having it, simply because we have this here. And the reason why is this, right? Before Bitcoin, governments could do whatever they wanted with their money, right? They could print as much as they wanted, and there were no repercussions other than just some inflation that people would have to deal with. But now there's the hardest money on earth. And because of that, governments need to rethink their choices. And so it actually benefits everybody, even if people aren't involved in Bitcoin, to have Bitcoin. And so they can be achieved side by side, right? Even though there's institutional adoption and governments getting involved, and maybe all of the different players that maybe the Bitcoin plebes didn't see as like being part of our community. In fact, it's better for the whole world that they do get involved, even if everyone's not on the same page about how and why.
So,
Weird speakers. Yeah.
For the next question, local Bitcoins is gone, KYC free ATMs and exchange is gone. Was increased oversight inevitable for a public ledger, or could design choices have steered a different path? Let's go to Bitcoin Q&A for this one.
Yeah, so this could be somewhat controversial, but I think there could have been protocol changes made in the earlier days where it was easier to get these changes adopted widely, such as things like confidential transactions like we see on the Liquid network. I feel like if we could have had those sorts of changes implemented in the early days, then we could have kind of been better equipped to be able to thwart against chain analysis and the likes. However, we are in a position now where world governments are now adopting Bitcoin and are, weighing in terms of like their sort of influence and the ability to kind of get those changes or significant changes such as that implemented in Bitcoin. I think those days are long gone. We see on Twitter now people arguing over trivial shit like op returns, where we have much bigger problems. Where we have much bigger problems to fix, like scaling, privacy on chain. But unfortunately, I feel like those days are long gone, and that we now need to look to kind of layer twos or to privacy at kind of the application layer to be able to give end-to-end users that type of the ability to reclaim their privacy when they're interacting, particularly on the base layer.
Does anyone else want to chime in on that? All right. Thank you. All right. Zach, we'll go to this next one. Samurai Wallet's indictment flips the code of speech saga of the 1990s on its head. Should Bitcoin be regulated like digital gold, protected as speech, or something entirely new?
Well, first of all, as the only person on the panel with manners, thank you for having me. And I would like to I would like to extend an especially warm welcome to all of the autistic Bitcoin podcast enjoyers in the audience. All of the mini-script influencers. All of the Operation Choke Point 2.0 survivors. And I guess all of the Russian oligarchs. The answer to your question is all of the above, right? I mean, Bitcoin is a lot of things to a lot of people, right? In the sort of West, it is often used very similar to digital gold. It's used as a sovereign savings vehicle that protects you from fiat debasement, that doesn't take counterparty risk, that doesn't take business risk. It's mostly an asset. In the global South, oftentimes it's a lifeline in all sorts of ways. But in terms of sort of financial regulation, I think thinking about Bitcoin as digital gold makes a ton of sense. There are other contexts where Bitcoin should be treated as basically speech, right? There are all sorts of political uses of Bitcoin and First Amendment protections attached to Bitcoin. And I don't think there's just one way to think about Bitcoin from a regulatory perspective, and it really does take sort of thoughtful different angles. However, very clearly there is one wrong way to regulate Bitcoin. The whole idea behind Bitcoin, and you know this because Satoshi wrote it in the fucking title of the white paper. You only need to get one sentence in the white paper to read that Bitcoin is peer-to-peer electronic cash. And the peer-to-peer part of that and the cash part of that are super fucking important. And that means there's not an intermediary when you send Bitcoin from one person to another. It's not like sending a Venmo transaction where there's correspondent banks. And absolutely the wrong way to regulate Bitcoin is to pretend that there's a bank in between, and to look at that bank and to say, hey, I'm really mad that bank let the Russian oligarchs do X, Y, and Z, and I don't see the bank, and so, people who wrote code, we're going to put them in prison, and then decide that our, financial laws are flipped upside down. And so that is the real challenge. In the samurai law cases, that is literally what the federal prosecutors are doing. So we need to, first of all, remedy that case in particular, and the Tornado Cash case, and then we need to pass a particular law called the Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act. There are a couple of you here tonight who are wearing hats supporting that law. That's super important. But the real sort of like regulatory emergency for Bitcoin is just recognizing literally the first rule of Bitcoin, that it's peer-to-peer. And that's why we started the Peer-to-Peer Rights Foundation, which is a nonprofit litigation fund meant to intervene in any kind of court action. And the courts in particular are important because unlike Congress, where you have democratic buy-in about who you elect, and even unlike the regulatory agencies where there's at least a notice and comment period if they want to make a new rule, federal judges can change the law overnight. And so that's actually very scary from a freedom money perspective. And so the Peer-to-Peer Rights Fund is here to develop a war chest to get involved in any case, and Samurai is the first of these, and sadly it probably won't be the last, where this principle that the Bitcoin blockchain allows peer-to-peer transfers is not recognized by prosecutors, not recognized by courts. There may be civil cases where this comes up, but that is the most important thing. Whether it's digital gold, whether it's medium of exchange money, like yes, it's all of that. It really depends on the situation.
Thank you.
Bitcoin Q&A, I'm going to go back to you for this one. Is there a viable compromise between sovereign usage and compliance, or are we headed for an outright privacy Cold War?
I think it would be safe to say that we're already in the midst of the privacy Cold War. We're well underway with the Samurai case, the Tornado Cash case, the Bitcoin Fog case. Like the privacy Cold War, as you dubbed it, is like we're already in the middle of that. We're already fighting that war. Can the two coexist in the future? I think yes, but to what extent and how successful either side of that case depends on the outcomes of the cases that I've just mentioned. But I am fairly bullish on the fact that open source software will... Hello? Hello?
Rookie move.
Check. Hello, we're back.
Rookie!
Are we back? We're back. What was I saying? I remain bullish on the fact that open source software will remain open source software, and that providing that we continue to kind of support the developers of that to be able to push those updates out and make those accessible, that there will always be, even if these cases become, they go the worst way possible, that we will still have access to those software. And I guess if we have the worst case scenario, that the access to these types of software or the number of people that will be able to use them will be severely diminished. But the fact is that open source software is by its very nature almost unstoppable. It's just a case of how much it can be proliferated. But I guess that's just down to a bit of an education piece to empower individuals that want to go out and seek that type of freedom and to empower themselves to use that type of software. We just need to kind of continue to spread that word and to make people aware that these tools will forever be available. You just got to get over that hurdle and learn how to use them.
All right. Rob, going over to you this one. 16 years in, does the base protocol plus L2s have what it takes to scale as freedom money? And who shoulders that mandate?
I'd say in today's current state, the answer is no, pretty objectively, because we wouldn't be in a privacy Cold War if we had the sufficient tools to be able to execute this correctly. A very common refrain you'll hear often is that the base layer should stay the same, and you can do all of the new things on layer 2s. It's fundamentally, though, in my opinion, it's misguided, because you need to add extendability to the layer 1 of Bitcoin to enable the more robust, decentralized layer 2s that are actually functional, right? You can do a layer 2 where it's just a custodian like that, but that doesn't actually solve this peer-to-peer money problem and enhancing privacy. I actually looked to the in the 1940s. Oh.
Cutting my mic does make it better. The ossification camp is the state capture camp. It is much easier to wrangle and constrain Bitcoin with the current design primitives today that often rely on custodians and aggregation and centralization of risk. And that is a fundamental attack and risk vector to how Bitcoin can operate as peer-to-peer money in many, many different forms. And we need to be able to have transparent conversations and understand there's always an opportunity cost to not doing something. And there's an asymmetry that's always put on. If you change anything whatsoever, that you're going to have a certain downfall risk of an unknown. The not doing a change path is an also equally need to be evaluated thing. And if you look at the state of privacy on Bitcoin today, it's very difficult, and the tools that were available have greatly.
Do I have a mic again? Hey!
Yeah.
So now that I have a microphone again, I'll be really nice and polite. Ultimately, I just think it's important to understand, back to the question of do we have the sufficient tools? I'd say we're lacking. And I think that everything that we kind of do to mitigate around that are things like Fedimints and cashews, which I love. Chamonix Cash, I think it's a great innovation, but it requires that custodian. And we're constantly making trade-offs to centralizing risk in places in the effort to try and scale. And I don't think that's the ideal way that Bitcoin flourishes as, global peer-to-peer cash.
Right. Thank you. All right, so we got our last question here. I'm going to direct this to all of you, but I'm going to start with Morgan. If nation-state treasuries accumulate Bitcoin, how does that reshape the classic store of value versus medium of exchange debate?
Yeah, so I think the important thing to note about medium of exchange and store of value is that if your medium of exchange is not a store of value, then nobody wants to use it. I mean, think about it, right? Like, do you want any of these crappy coins that are on the market besides Bitcoin? Right? So if it's not a good store of value, then it can't be a good medium of exchange. And so as more and more people get involved showing that this is a good store of value, it makes it an even better medium of exchange, because that means that more people are going to want to accept it. And so the better the money, the more likely it will be used. Whether or not, though, that means, right, I think that from the context, though, of nation states and institutions storing it and not having it circulate as liquidity, Satoshi solved that problem by making Bitcoin very divisible, right? And so sats can freely can be freely liquidated and be moving around the market without any issues, even if very, very large stores of Bitcoin just stay put.
Thank you.
While I fully recognize that the theme of this broader Las Vegas conference is the Bitcoin Treasury Company boom, I want to try and re-answer or add to what Rob said before about privacy, because I do think that is a critically important question right now. And if I can impart sort of one sentiment to people listening, look, first, actually, let me also admit a conflict of interest. If you're anyone who's trying to build privacy on top of Bitcoin in any meaningful way, probably I'm already your lawyer. But at the end of the day, all of these questions about what's going to happen in the courts, what's going to happen with the Trump administration, whatever, this is a rearguard action. The reason why Bitcoin succeeded while other previous attempts at things like Bitcoin failed is because Bitcoin is built to be unstoppable. It's built to be nation-state resistant, and that is the type of thing that gets a pass. And all of the work I do, all the work BPI does, all the work that Q&A does, trying to sort of spread the word about what's going on, is really, at the end of the day, a delay tactic for the builders. And I really am worried that what Rob said is completely right, that the tech is not ready. And the consequence of that is there are a bunch of just very deeply autistic people in this room who know how to build things on Bitcoin, and now is the fucking time, right? We have a president who is, for better or for worse reasons, remarkably friendly to what we're trying to do here, and we do have the Deputy Attorney General put out a memo that they're not going to go after software developers for the things that people do with the software. That should be obvious. Unfortunately, that's not obvious. So now is the time to build stuff that is genuinely censorship resistant, and the way that we win this thing long term, because the state is never going to give up its power over inflation. The state is never going to give its power up over censorship of transactions willingly. You got to build stuff that makes that a non-issue. And so to all of the people who have any kind of technical skills in this room, my impassioned plea here is figure out a way to do things that will not put you in the same situation as the developers who are looking at decades in prison unfairly. We got to figure out how to build things in a censorship decentralized, truly decentralized way. And I'm sure Noster is somehow a part of this, and I'm contractually obligated to say that Miniscript is also probably a part of this. But please do build these things.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that's just been said, and I just want to build on what Zach was saying about the call to action for people to build shit while the grass is kind of looking pretty green at the moment. But we also, everybody in this room has an obligation as a Bitcoin holder to educate people to use the tools that exist and to use the tools that are emerging as well, because we've seen, a recent proliferation of, I have no idea what to put a figure on it, but most people, if I was a betting man, would say that newbies are coming in and they're buying ETFs. They're buying Bitcoin exposure, right? And that's all well and good. And, they might make a bit of money and they might sort of save some themselves from inflation, but they simply cannot leverage Bitcoin's awesome properties if they don't self-custody. So it's something that's very, very close to my heart, and I think I just want to, make a plea to the room to just go out there and do your piece for education and make sure that when you're onboarding people, you do it as what I would consider the right way, and just make sure that people are taking self-custody so that they can leverage those properties.
I totally agree with what you said. So you're about to hate what I'm about to say. So I agree that people should buy and store Bitcoin the correct way. However, I'm a financial planner, and in my practice, what I've seen time and time again is that when people get exposure through things like originally it was Grayscale's GBTC before it became an ETF, and then also through the ETFs now, when people get a little taste of what Bitcoin is, that actually helps them become sovereign. And so while we can, say that, oh, you're not really holding Bitcoin and you're holding a receivable and you don't really know what you're doing and you're a noob and how can you get onboarded like this? Yeah, that's true. But some people need to dip their toe in before they jump into the deep end, and that we can still We could still give these people Bitcoin education and for sure get them on the right path. Like ultimately, like my goal as a financial planner is to get everyone holding their own keys, and we work really hard in our practice to get that done. But they don't always start there, and we just need to be mindful about where people are in that process.
So I completely agree with every word of that. I think that's totally true at the personal level. And by the way, for all of the like really sort of Amish maxi folks, that's also true at the nation state level. A lot of you have been hating about the SBR, but like there's this window we have to build stuff, and the more that the United States government has an interest in Bitcoin not dying, extends that window. So cut us a little bit of slack.
At this, I mean, yeah, at this point, I think, you know, I ultimately think that like there's when you're getting exposed to Bitcoin and you're adding it to your portfolio, there's a fair journey that can take for everyone, right? I first bought Bitcoin. I initially held it on Coinbase for a couple weeks. Sorry, this is back in 2014. Right. And
You did what you knew.
yeah. And so you have to be able to like walk down this journey, and everyone's not going to start ultimately being an Amish maxi from day zero and, you know, rolling their own entropy and figuring out how to derive their derivation paths and going down the whole rabbit hole. Right, that's right. And so I think that you need to look at it through like a barbell distribution of like Bitcoin like exposure. Like you have the left curve that is just like I just buy ETF and I hang out, and you have the right curve that are building really compelling, better tools, and developing the financial ecosystem around it, and encouraging people to think about like really pushing that boundary. But it's really incumbent on us that are here, whether you know you're a cultural influencer and thinking about this, or you're a developer building projects. If you're doing the most important work, which is recording a Bitcoin podcast, you need to be covering all of your bases, and you need to be able to say, that how do I take this one step forward? And that would ultimately be my advice, is that never being complacent and always kind of continuing your journey, and always challenging yourself to always reevaluate your priors too. The one thing I always, as an observation, hearing a lot of people who have a lot of interest in keeping coins at several custodians, it's really aligned in their interest to never improve the ability, because often privacy and self-custody are paired in the programmability that gets unlocked with upgrades to Bitcoin. And I think it's a very convenient narrative to say that it's way too hard, let us manage it for you. And being able to understand that what you can also use to extend privacy can also make it orders of magnitude better for being able to actually secure your own keys in much better form factors with better UX. So this is just something I would caution, in that if the people that may be aligned, my concern ultimately is that the concentration of coins into several custodians through all the financialization is going to cause massive network pressures in the event of forks and dynamics, where you have a lot of hash power that's U.S. publicly traded mining companies. You have a lot of coins that are sitting at custodians, and the economic nodes of the network being a couple big players or custodians is not good for the network. And just because we survived one civil war doesn't mean we need to go fight another one. So the best way to avoid it is mutually assured destruction by having better tools to be able to actually make Bitcoin programmable money and let it be accessible to everyone wherever they sit on that spectrum.
All right. Well, that wraps up all my questions. Does anyone have any final remarks?
We need more Bitcoin podcasts.
And now we pass the microphone to Rob to do a live ad read for Anchor Watch.
Stay humble, Saxats.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Everyone put your hands together for Rob Hamilton, Morgan Richard, Zach Shapiro, and Bitcoin Q&A.
mics that work here. Check. This one's good. All right. We gotta make Bitcoin. We gotta make the base layer a little bit better. Who here is a proponent of covenants? Who here wants to see covenants enacted? Let's get a little chant going. CTV, CTV, CTV. That's it. All right. Guys, I have a confession to make. I haven't been listening to my 40 hours a week of podcasts. But when I was a young lad first starting out listening to Bitcoin podcasts, there was one voice that I heard for upwards many hours a week, maybe over 40 hours a week, and that was Caitlin Long, one of my first teachers in Bitcoin. One of my first teachers. So to be able to introduce her in such a fine setting is just it's quite a moment in this lifetime. And Trace Mayer, a Bitcoin OG, someone else. We're standing on the shoulders of giants like Caitlin and Trace. So to be able to invite them to the stage right here is an honor. Please, a round of applause for two absolute legends, Caitlin Long and Trace Mayer.
All right. So Trace and I recorded multiple podcasts together probably 8 years ago or so. And I told him tonight as we were prepping for this, I'd like him to go through the 7 network effects because many of us got orange pilled by his network effects. And let's stop at the 6th one. The 7th one is world reserve currency, but can you go through the first 6?
Check. Come on.
Thank you.
And Wolverine. Yeah, so the first network effect is speculation, and that's one of the reasons I funded Armory, right? You got to have custody in order to speculate. And, when we had the first Bitcoin software, it would just generate 100 random private keys. Like, there weren't seed phrases. So we innovated hierarchical deterministic wallets, which later became seed phrases. We innovated cold storage, because you don't necessarily want your keys exposed to the internet. And so, then you also needed an exchange. So I funded Kraken to build, that network effect because Mt. Gox just didn't get the job done very well.
I learned the hard way. Yep.
And then there's the second, third network effects of merchants and consumers. If somebody's got value, then the merchant might accept it, and the consumers will go acquire it in order to use it at the merchant. And so I funded BitPay, but we have another entrepreneur who really built out that network effect, Ross Albrecht. And so, he showed us what we could do with peer-to-peer cash, right? But it was not private enough for him, I guess. And so then we've got our fourth network effect of miners. And so, we have to have this pure proof of work in order to have a censorship-resistant currency. I don't really see another consensus mechanism that's going to get the job done besides proof of work. That enables anybody to join the network and process transactions. So we don't want a bunch of miners that are obeying OFAC list restrictions or something, do we?
Whoa, feedback comes in at the
right time. So then we get to our fifth network effect of developers. And I like to put software code, legal code, regulators, jurists, judges, accountants, kind of all in that network effect of developers. And that's what we've been talking about. We need to get legislation done. Even Vice President J.D. Vance was like, hey, get involved in the situation. And so that's what Caitlin led the charge with over in Wyoming. And she's done a phenomenal job.
And Tyler Lindholm, he asked me after that session when we got some of the first laws passed over there, he's like, well, what would you like to see passed? I was like, you know what would be really cool is if we filled this hole in the Fourth Amendment on compelled disclosure of private keys.
Do you guys know we got that passed in Wyoming? A judge cannot compel you outside of a criminal case to turn over your private key.
Yeah, so that's kind of a fun one.
Yeah, it's actually kind of amazing to me that more developers didn't re-domicile into Wyoming for that reason alone.
Yeah, and I sit on the Utah Blockchain Task Force, and we decided to port that law over.
Awesome.
And we added a little bit to it. So there can be no compelled disclosure in a civil, judicial, administrative, or criminal action.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, they let it through.
Wow. Wow.
I know, it's crazy,
We did not
isn't
get
it?
that through in Wyoming. Good for you. Wow. Okay. So maybe the developers should all be moving to Utah.
Yeah, and then along with that, this past legislative session, we got passed right to develop. You know, so we got protections for developers. We've got right to mine. We've got stuff against zoning discrimination for minors. We tried to get a strategic reserve across the line, but the Senate and our treasurer didn't like it. So, we can try again next year. And let's see, what else do we have on the Fifth Network Effect? We kind of went through the main parts of it. So that gets us to this, well, the accountants. So, we need to figure out how we account for the digital currency on our balance sheets. And, this was a big issue for the corporates, that was carried at the lower of cost or market. And so, you could end up having, a bunch of digital assets on your balance sheet, but it's not
Never written up, always written down.
always written down,
Yeah.
never written up. It's like, and then, we see how the Bank for International Settlements has been treating it like discounting it as collateral, even though it's probably a pristine form of it. And we saw all that stuff happen in the gold market with the gold price suppression scheme, and GATA did phenomenal work in this area if you're not familiar. And so we would only expect that, if they fought gold this way, they're going to probably fight our magic internet money this way too.
Who knows what GATA is? GATA? Talk about GATA.
So GATA is the Gold Antitrust Action Committee, and that's Bill Murphy and Chris Powell, and they started it back in 1997. And they basically did a bunch of forensic accounting on the central bank balance sheets and found that the central banks don't have the gold they said they have. And then they decided to talk about it and to let you know just the full contact nature of what we're doing. So this was 1997. Bill Murphy, who had played pro football, he had been on, I think, NBC or something, MSNBC, and talked about it. And then he was home, like, jogging around the park, and some goons, basically from the Federal Reserve, showed up and threatened him to quit talking about it. And they had, like, a sock with some rolls of coins in it, and so they broke his jaw. But, they liked going after the windmills, so they didn't shut up, and they kept talking about it. And I was a consultant for GATA, because I'd been an investor in gold money.
You were like 17 at this point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I'm like little, yeah. So, well, in '97, but I became an investor in gold money probably like 2006, I think it was, or 2007, because we were innovating in the digital currency space with like being able to do sound money on the internet, and you had a gold in the vault and an ounce of gold that would circulate around. And in order to even do the business model, you needed LBMA gold bars, and like they would let us buy them, but they wouldn't let us take the gold bar and put it on our own cage down in the vault in London. Like, even when we paid cash on the barrel for the bar. And so we actually had to get one of the board members of Gold Money had a relationship with Harmony Gold, who then sold us the gold, but it went through Metal or the refiner, and then we could get the physical bar with LBMA custody and put it in our own vault. And so it was and eventually, we got to be able to vault lots of physical gold, had over $2 billion of physical gold vaulted with Gold Money as a company. But, being able to run a full gold node, like a full node for gold, like a refiner where you can melt down the gold bar and recast it and verify that with 100% the quantity and the quality of the gold,
let alone being able to transfer the gold around the planet. You need like G4S and these other LBMA certified with indemnification agreements. Like Bitcoin just slices through all of that, right? And yet with gold, the central banks and BIS, they don't let you use it as tier one like collateral. And I mean, they discount it, they do all types of stuff to it.
That's right.
And so in order to basically demonetize it and engage in the monetary suppression. So like you think that like we're fighting the monetary sovereignty battle like in Bitcoin, like they've been fighting it even longer in the gold space and in an even bigger way. You know, because gold's a $22 trillion market cap, $500 million of daily emission. I mean, gold emits in 2 days what Bitcoin emits in a month. Like gold is a monster asset, great tool for monetary sovereignty. And so the governments, the way they've fought it many different ways. Like legislatively, they've fought it executive orders 6102. They refuse to hear the case of City versus Dover. You know, to punt the issue. You know, they demonetize it. They discount it as collateral. Like all these like shenanigans.
Does all this sound familiar to all of us Bitcoiners?
They won't let you buy it. You know, like Operation Choke Point. They go after the gold dealers. They were part of Operation Choke Point 1.0. You know, so it's like it's all part of the same game. So, you know, being able to get some of our accounting regulations that are favorable towards Bitcoin on the balance sheets, you know, that's encouraging these corporate companies. And so then we get our sixth network effect of financialization. And that's where you really get to start integrating it with the current financial system, which you have to be able to do in order for it to become an asset of large enough economic mass and scale. And so that's, you know, because like the ETFs, but before the ETFs, you know, it's like we have a little straw between like a pea and a grapefruit, and you know now we have a fire hose between the stock market capital and like Bitcoin and everything.
Okay, and the seventh network effect is world reserve currency. We're not there yet, but let's stop on financialization because this is one of the places where. And by the way, Trace put this 7 network effects. When's the first time you published this? 2010.
No. When it really crystallized in my mind, I was actually at an event, I think it was 2014 or 15 in New York at CRIPSA, and I wanted to listen to Andreas Antonopoulos, and so I was in the crowd, and they come to me like 2 minutes before, they're like, we can't find Andreas, did you say something?
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, well, how long do you want it to be? They're like, about 45 minutes. So I get up and I like just organize my thoughts as these 7 network effects, and they filmed it, and it's on YouTube. And so, it's like 10 years ago, but now it's all playing out. But this is how I kind of organized it in my mind.
Yep.
But that's when it really like crystallized. It was probably 2015-ish. I mean, I had a different investment thesis than Barry Silbert. I wanted to invest in the core asset, and then in the order kind of this network effects. That's why I did Armory, Kraken, BitPay, so on. But now we're in the 6th network effect of the financialization, and that's it's on its way to world reserve settlement currency. We have El Salvador doing their thing. We have the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve doing their thing, and so this is all part of it becoming like an asset of this type of mass and scale.
Okay,
like
so let's talk about. You recently told me you think it's happening about at the pace that you expected it to. Is that still the case?
Well, probably a little faster.
You think a little faster? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand, we're only 16 years into this. It was like probably, I think, July of 2008, and I went to the GATA conference in D.C. because Dr. Vieira was there, who wrote Pieces of 8, and he's a phenomenal mind on all of this.
And you started talking to him when you were like 14 or something.
No, not that young.
Okay. I'm exaggerating. The legend of Trace Mayer in my mind.
He's definitely been one of my intellectual mentors.
Yeah.
And so I went and listened to his talk, and afterwards someone asked him a question. You painted, it's just a very dark situation that we're in terms of monetary repression, the lack of monetary sovereignty, everything barreling down the road. He's like, why do you do this? And Dr. Vieira's response was, it is very dark. I just don't want to live in 1956 Czechoslovakia with a boot on my neck. And so that's part of the reason I got into I continue doing my blog about gold and eventually talked about Bitcoin. And, it, as loud as I did is because, okay, you try to intimidate us like Bill Murphy, like just not cut from, that's not going to happen with me. So like, we're going to get these ideas out there one way or the other. And, and now, interestingly enough, the Bitcoiners are now, we are the financial elite.
Yeah.
I mean,
BlackRock wants to be us, right?
What's that?
BlackRock wants to be us.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're trying to like shake coins loose, but it's kind of a hard thing to do. And now we're figuring out, because of financialization, we're figuring out ways to monetize it. Whether it's overnight repos or market making, or like look at Tether, the options market, like kind of all the things. There are ways to make this, and we can indefinitely buy.
So let's talk about financialization, because this is where you and I have disagreed a little bit. I take more of the Rothbardian view that paper Bitcoin is kind of by definition bad, and you push back on me when we debate about these things. Talk about that.
Well, there's bad, and then there's just like, it is what it is, and it's going to be that way. Like, how do we not have the central banks like engage in their gold price suppression scheme? We might not agree with it, we might not like it, but they're going to do it. And so we have to understand that they're going to do it and plan like a reaction of what to do when they do it.
So explain for the audience.
Kind of stratagem.
Well, talk about the gold price suppression scheme. What do you mean by that? Ultimately, there's more than 100 to 1 leverage in the gold market. It's probably twice
crazy.
That.
Like, as of like the mid 2000s, they're carrying gold in the vault and gold out on loan as the same line item. They're in effect reporting cash and accounts receivable as the same thing, which are totally not the same thing.
Right.
Like IOUs from Mt. Gox are not the same as Bitcoins in your wallet.
Yep.
And so, like, we've got that issue with, and now we're seeing it. We're seeing that very same issue in the Bitcoin space, which is part of why I started Proof of Keys, which is very anti-banking league from Rothbardian. It's like, hey, just how about we all exert pressure as kind of a cultural movement to just force the discipline because the cost to run the full node is so low. Like,
the first
like
proof
with
of
gold,
keys,
it was expensive, but now it's cheap.
Yeah, but the first proof of keys, you saw it in Coinbase's numbers.
Oh, well, yeah. I kind of came up with the idea, and I was like, oh, this would be fun. So I record the video and I send it out, and it went viral and hundreds of thousands of views, like 2019. And then 4 days later, Coinbase moves 600,000 Bitcoins on chain
from cold storage.
From cold storage,
yeah.
and put out the little press release thing like, oh, that we didn't get hacked. And it's kind of like, whoa, that's kind of wild.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about it all now, given that the threat actors have become more serious than even they were then, and given that the ETFs and other wrappers around Bitcoin have made it easier for more people to come into Bitcoin? Is that good or bad?
It's good that more people can come in and be interested in it, but like, if we're not like physically settling on chain, we're not flexing our monetary sovereignty muscles as well as we could, and if you're not in good, if you're not in good shape and you can't lift the kettlebell or whatever, like what difference does it make the tool that you've got to use? Like, if you're not in the shape to be able to use it. And so as an industry, like, I don't know that we have that monetary sovereignty ethos and core in there. People seem to be fine having their ETF or whatever and making that trade-off.
Proof of keys. Yes, thank you. Proof of keys. Trace started that.
Yeah, but it's okay. So Bitwise does proof of keys and Metaplanet does proof of keys, but Sailor is like prancing around saying, oh, it's a security risk for an institution to do proof of keys. Like, how come those other two can do it?
Right. Right. Can I ask a tough question? Some folks in the audience probably want to ask, but I also want to lay out the introduction, which is that when you and I first talked about Wimblecoin, you had a very important explanation that I think got lost because a lot of folks didn't come back to you and ask you why you were involved with that. And your point at the time I thought was profound, and I'm sharing it for the first time here. And I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I also know a lot of the folks in the audience want to hear the answer to this. You told me that at some point we need to recognize we're all about hard money, and maybe something even harder than Bitcoin would come along someday. And if that's what the ideology is and that's what you're after, we need to be open to the possibility that something harder than Bitcoin comes along. So share with me, because we talked about that. This was way back when. And I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I also think a lot of people respect you and would love to hear you say this. And I think it's important that you do share what you shared with me at that time.
So, in the battle for monetary sovereignty, I came from this with a worldview of being a monetary sovereignty maximalist because Bitcoin didn't exist. And gold was our best tool to accomplish that. And so that's what I started my blog and wrote about. And then Bitcoin came along and I fit Bitcoin into my worldview as opposed to, coming to Bitcoin and then fitting monetary sovereignty into my worldview. And the way I look at it is optionality is always a better thing. The more options we have, the more choices we can make. And so, we're coming from a system where there's a tremendous amount of monetary repression. That's the whole goal of it. And that's the whole reason we have money transmission laws and like all of this stuff is to decrease our options. And so the way I look at it is like the more options, the better. And everybody's going to find a different tool to accomplish what they want to do. And the more tools we can have to accomplish the purpose of monetary sovereignty, the more wealthy we'll be in terms of kind of the monetary sovereignty that we can actually achieve. And so that's how I kind of look at it. We Bitcoin very much was an experiment. Like I started talking about it publicly as the first blogger with like an audience at less than $1 million market cap.
Right. Did you start
Right?
buying it at 25 cents?
Well, no, this is when I started publicly talking about it. Like, I mean, I talked about it because that's the altruistic thing to do. The competitive thing to do would be to like let people figure it out on their own while I buy it cheaper, right? I mean, but we time and we have to, we've had to build this industry kind of out of scratch, and there's a whole lot to that. We have to learn how to store our private keys and like do all these things, right? And so, but that's the way I look at it is like we want options. And the more options we have, the richer we are in terms of choices or permutations of what we can do. Now, does that mean that you allocate bunches of capital into whatever the different options are? No, but it gives you opportunity to innovate. And, like the previous panel that we talked about here, complaining about scalability, complaining about not getting confidential transactions into the base layer, complaining about the Chaumian mints centralizing into custodians, the lack of the peer-to-peer electronic cash nature of things. The one of the reasons I think gold is so successful is because you're able to melt it down and recast it. So you eliminate that transaction history. That's not a possible thing to do with, I guess, since it's Satire Night, with BlackRock AML KYC coin that's trackable. Right? Like it's hard to do that with that. And one of the principles of a monetary good or a monetary tool would be portability. Well, portability used to mean like being able to transfer it over distance. But what we've seen with the regulations and things like AML KYC is that they try to restrict portability to transferring between people and not necessarily distance. And so like that, we have to be adaptable as we go into the future. We know that the other side's going to try to trammel our monetary sovereignty. And so the more options we have, the better is the way I look at it. And experimentation is a wonderful thing to do. So like I don't see any issues.
Yeah. By the way, we all missed you, and I'm glad that you're
Thanks,
back.
Galen.
How you have a wedding ring on since you were last with us all. I won't dox you. I'm very happy to see that.
Thank you. Yes.
But I will also just ask, how has your worldview changed in the few years since you were a public person in this space?
Well, since 2020, we've really had a big increase in the financialization of Bitcoin. And like in my case specifically, I've been able to find ways to like build out the family office and create cash flow and uh, trade different, options and derivatives. And so, we have a nice, consistent, solid P&L and uh, able to accumulate more Bitcoin every month. Uh, which is a wonderful thing to do and fund plenty of lifestyle and anything else that we want to do in that area. But then as I kind of look around, it's like, you know, if anybody's going to build something, like I might as well, if I want to see something built, I might as well be the one to build it. Who else is going to build it? So like, and we really have to look at, I think that was part of Vice President JD Vance's talk is like, we're now in that position. Like if we want to get something done, like no one else is, there's like nobody else to come do it. Like we have the resources now.
So what are you
You know?
building? And throw in a comment on the Lightning Network and scaling debates, because you were such a big, very visible person for those who are not familiar during the block size war.
Yeah.
Talk about both Lightning and block size war
Yeah,
and op return.
Yeah, so kind of around all that time, like the two big pieces of tech that I saw were Lightning Network and Mimblewimble. The problem with Mimblewimble is that with version 0.1, as Satoshi said, like our architecture is set. Like we can't take that tech and apply it in there. But you get scalability, privacy, and scarcity. You're not giving up any security guarantees. Which is a problem. Monero's had a hidden inflation bug. Zcash has had a hidden inflation bug. And like you said, we can't, I mean, I think Morgan said, you have to have scarcity first and privacy second. You can't just do like privacy without scarcity. Like that's a non-starter.
Because then how do you know what to trust?
Yeah. And kind of like Dr. Back says, you can't build a secure network on top of an insecure layer. So, so those are kind of the two uh, tech innovations that I've found very interesting. And so with Lightning, like, I helped put $4.5 million into the Wolf Lightning Incubator. And we had, 100 companies come through the cohort. But like, I'm not seeing the types of, I'd really like to see Lightning just functioning with the privacy in there, but like it takes time to route that way, and so there's economic incentives against routing the privacy that way, and then like the channels kind of get unplugged like we saw. And so we're going to have to continue innovating and building the tools that we want to have, and some of the stuff's not going to work. Like Lightning, I think, has not really materialized or actualized to the degree that we were hoping it would when we were looking at it, back in 2016 or 2017. But we're able to create monetization abilities with the financialization, so we can replenish our resources and try something else.
So
it's
what
kind of the way I
next?
look at it. What next? I don't know. Like I haven't really thought about it.
I don't believe that.
No, I mean everybody's got to like figure out what they want to do with their assets and everything, and what is it that drives you. So, in order to be a hodler of last resort for an asset, and this is where I think Roger Ver went wrong, you really have to understand what you're buying and why you're buying it and why you're going to hold it. Like you have to have conviction. And, if you introduce something confusingly similar to somebody and call Bitcoin Cash the real Bitcoin, like how solid of a hodler can that person really be without that like full informed consent on what they're doing? And so it becomes incumbent on each of us to do our own research, like review all the stuff, like figure out what we want to use, like figure out what we're trying to accomplish and go and make our decisions. And so for me, monetary sovereignty maximalist, in a position where
able to monetize Bitcoin. We have it as a prime collateral asset, which means that you can sit there and use it as collateral to sell physically settled puts on stuff and like all day long.
So where
So I mean, there's all types of stuff we can do with it. We can acquire real estate, or we can acquire like businesses. That's one thing I'd like to do is have a treasury company that's got a Berkshire Hathaway type of model that's very long time horizon with cash flow businesses. I don't do anything debt based. I don't do any leverage. So it's just it's a financial fortress, and I like the cash flow that comes in like in a dependable passive way. And that means that you can just always be taking more monetary sovereignty territory. More Bitcoins every month just come into the just come in and they're I have no reason to sell them. And if I do sell them, it's at 30, I sell like 15 and 20 delta calls, that are 6 weeks out, and then you can roll them up and out. So and I sell puts. So, we are able to harvest the vol on Bitcoin. So this is all part of that financialization that then gives us even more resources and firepower for, what we want to accomplish. I kind of analogize it. My 10th great grandfather was William Bradford, came over on the Mayflower, wanted to leave a legacy of religious freedom to his descendants. He came over as a penniless orphan. 400 years later, I run into Bitcoin. Man, if I'd run into Bitcoin with the resources I have now, it'd be a totally different game, right? And so, we're now stepping into this age where like Trump is giving us that political cover that we can now experiment on stuff. Like the DOJ memo is very positive towards engaging in privacy stuff. I mean, who in their right mind would try to do anything privacy related during the Biden administration?
Yeah.
I mean,
end up in jail.
well, look
Yeah.
at the Samurai Law guys and look at the Wasabi Law guys. I mean, like I'm sympathetic to their cause, but like working on that stuff was stupid under that environment. Like you were asking for it as a political activist, which, sometimes that's what it takes. Rosa Parks or whatever, like and we took that risk with Bitcoin in the early days.
Yes, you did.
Part of BitPay was carving out a merchant processing exemption to the money transmission laws. If you own all or part of an unlicensed money transmission business, so one share as a passive investor, 5 years in jail. We didn't know, but we wanted to fund it, to build the stuff. Like Greg Maxwell, he put $500,000 into his client trust account so that he could work on stuff. Lawyer trying client trust account in case he got prosecuted for doing Bitcoin core developer work. In 2011, he could have taken that and bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin, right? So I mean, we took a lot of risk to take our position with digital scarcity. And now that we've taken that position and we've fortified it and defending it, now, well, where's the next horizon of monetary sovereignty that we can take? And like let's start allocating some resources there. Like 2020, I did a podcast with Stephen Livera, and I talked about how, digital scarcity is like Europe. It's basically just a mopping up operation now. Like BlackRock's trying to buy our coins. Good luck with that.
Right.
But the Pacific,
Don't sell the alert.
yeah, there's no reason. There's no reason. I mean, we should be competing with them.
Yeah.
I mean, we should be acquiring more Bitcoin every month.
Yeah.
Like, and this compounded rate, I mean, it's kind of wild. But the analogy, Europe was digital scarcity. Well, we have the Pacific. And in my opinion, the Pacific is probably related to privacy because that's what the regulators are really like sensitive about. And so since we have and when we look at the Pacific, there's like a little tugboat over there. I mean, the entire market cap is $9 billion. Like that's a week of daily emission from Bitcoin. Like there's nothing over there right now. It's totally green, like totally undeveloped, uncharted. Like there are no tools really. I mean, we got some things like cashew and whatnot, but like there's a ton of opportunity there.
So that's where you're playing. And when you talk about building things and what you're doing with your family office
Well, that's
now.
one idea, you know. I mean, we're building a whole bunch of stuff. Got like 9-figure apartment complexes. I got all types of things that I got my fingers in. But you know, that's like when you're looking at like, oh, where could there be like a moonshot thing, uh, you know, or where is there like with my family foundations, what I wanted to focus on religious freedom, health freedom, and monetary sovereignty. You know, so like if we're going to focus on monetary sovereignty, well, you know, we can do that through litigation or you know, or we can do it through building tools. Like, you know, that just cypherpunks write code, right? So like let's write it and put it out there and see if the market likes it at all.
Well, let me wrap up by saying I was at a dinner with Jameson earlier, thanks to Casa for hosting the dinner. And there was a client there who used Armory and asked me to thank you for making Armory available in the early years. A lot of folks probably have no idea what that is, but if you don't know what Trace has done for this space, it's incredible that he's back and
Yeah,
welcome back. Really appreciate you being back.
And Armory specifically was 2,500 Bitcoins. That was the investment in there.
Amazing.
You know, to build the fundamental custody infrastructure. And just from people that came and asked for customer support, over half of all the Bitcoin that existed were being custodied in Armory. You know, so this was being used on all the exchanges and all the stuff. So yeah, I mean, these tools don't just build themselves. Like the monetary sovereignty isn't just gonna like come down from some cloud and like put itself on the table for you to get. Like we have to go and claim it. We have to go and take it if we want it. And the governments and things, they're going to actively be fighting against it.
Yeah,
You know,
that we know.
they don't want that to be an easy thing for people to get.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, we've all got our marching orders for Trace. So welcome back. Let's go, Bill.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Again, let's give one more round of applause. Two legends here. We're standing on the shoulders of giants, Trace Mayer and Caitlin Long. I was backstage with Maggie, Rod, and Richard, and we were talking about the 40 hours per week, and they just wanted to let everybody know that that counts as double time right there. So that counts as 2 hours of your 40 hours per week. It's been an honor to be here with you guys. This is my last segment of the evening. The next segment is sponsored by Zeus. Who here is familiar with Zeus? Sorry. So there was this moment, it happened under the Biden administration. I think it was while the samurai crackdown was happening. And then we saw Phoenix Wallet leave the United States. And there was one gentleman who posted on Twitter that he planned to die on this hill of self-custody. And that's Evan from Zeus. So let's please give him a round of applause. When I look around at this room and again see some legends like Caitlin and Trace and other people who who are doing their best to carry the torch. And again, it really is comforting to have someone like Trace back. It's people who really did the hard work when there weren't a lot of podcasts out there to teach us. Trace is like pre-podcast Bitcoin, if you will. And that's legendary status. We know that. So the next part of the evening, this evening, we have trivia sponsored by Zeus. I think some of that might be around Samurai. And I also want to give a quick shout out to Zach Shapiro. Where's Zach? Where is he over there? Yeah. I don't think people realize how brilliant this person is and how lucky we are to have him on our team. I've been in the courtroom at the Samurai trial or pre-trial hearings with Zach. Zach can see that I'm not as smart as him, so he walks up to me after the hearings and explains to me what just happened in there so that I can write about it for Bitcoin Magazine. So I want to thank Zach for doing that. I do the best I can now with my access. I just got a new credential recently. I got a hard pass to the White House, so I will be the Bitcoin Magazine correspondent from the White House. Shout out to credentials. We know that credentials matter here. Some say they're all that matters. But anyway, we're moving on to the next segment of the evening. We love you guys. Maya Flood is going to be hosting, I believe, the trivia section. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for having me this evening. Thank you again to the guests that we had here up on stage. Stick around for the wrestling match and have a good one, everybody.
Thank you, thank you. It's hot. How are you? My name's Maya Flood. How's everyone doing? All right. This is the time that you bring out those pretty little orange tickets. Bring them out. Let me see them. Let me see them if you got them. Put them in the air. Put them in the air. I'm going to be calling sets of 2 people. The first 2 group, they're going to do the first round of trivia. That winner, you're going to sit aside. We got great prizes. The second group, going to go through 4 questions. You got to get 4 questions right in a row. Are you still with me? Is everyone still with me? Awesome. Guess you're wondering what the prizes are. I'll tell you what the prizes are. The prizes will be for the runner-up, 100,000 sats for the runner-up. Grand prize, 300,000. So this goes for the people also at the bar. Once you hear your number, please come into the arena. I'm going to call out the name twice. If you do not come, I am moving forward. I'm here for a good time, not a long time, people. All righty. First number is 782138. 782138. If that is your number, step right up to the arena. I'm hearing some boos. That's obviously not his number down there, folks. Going to repeat it one more time for the bar. 782138. I see somebody coming in. Is this our winning number? No? Oh, golly gee, y'all. I'm going to call the second number while we look for our first number. I'm going to repeat them twice. The next number is 782291. 782291. Anybody? Oh my goodness. I might have to call all new numbers, folks. I'm going to give it a going once, going twice in the second. Going once. Going twice. I'm calling new numbers. Here we go. We have 782061. 782061. For real? We have a that's you? Come on out. Don't be shy, baby. Do not be shy. I just have to confirm your number. I'm not saying you're a liar, but you know, it's a part of my gig. Calling the second. Yes, wonderful. Woo! You're rocking my world over here. What's your name?
Wes.
Wes, give it up for Wes, everybody. I'm double checking your numbers here, Wes, and it is looking good to me. We're calling out our contender for you here. Take a seat. Take a load off. 782161. 782161 is the next one. Anybody? 782161. If that is your number, come into the arena. I'm sorry, sugar. It is. Oh, fabuloso. I'll take it. Let's move forward with our lives. Enter the arena. This is your big moment. Let's get it. Let's get it. Come on up. Woo! Yeah! That's what I'm talking about. Welcome to the arena. Take a seat right here. Oh, so sportsmanlike, folks. What's your name, sir?
Leron.
Leron. Give it up for Leron. This is when you place your bets. I'm just kidding. It's not that type of game. It's not that type of game. All right, folks. All of your questions will be about Bitcoin. Are you ready to begin? Once again, you have to get 4 questions in the row to go to the next round for the 300,000. Are you ready? Excellent.
How should we decide? I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Go. The correct answer was 5. 6 goes first. Here we go. What is the other half of a private key?
Public key.
That is correct. That's 1 in a row. We're going on to our next contestant over here. What is Bitcoin's consensus mechanism?
Proof of work.
That is correct. Oh, we got some smart cookies up here for forks. Oh my goodness. Which year was the first Bitcoin block mined?
2009?
2009. That's 2 in a row. In which year was the Bitcoin white paper first published?
2009.
I don't think that was the right answer. Do you have the right answer for me?
2008.
That is correct. We got 3 in a row over here. Oh, yeah. Bonus question.
December 31st?
Oh, we got some booze here. Redemption arc. Do you have the exact date?
Halloween.
Is that? Can I have my judges? Can I have a thumbs up that's? Thank you, sir. Thank you. All righty. So we are now at. You have 3.
Yes.
You have. Oh, great. I'm glad someone's paying attention up here. Sheesh. All right, here we go. The next question. Timothy May, John Gilmore, and Eric Hughes are all examples of what group?
Shitcoiners? I don't know.
You're killing me. You're killing me, Lebron. What's going on with you over here? What about you? Do you have the answer? I'm going to repeat the question one more time. Timothy May, John Gilmore, and Eric Hughes are examples of what group?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm hearing ghosts outside of the ring. What is going on? Go ahead.
Taproot Wizards.
No, that is incorrect. The correct. Someone shout out the correct answer. Who has the correct answer in this building? Cyberpunks. Thanks, folks. All right, let's try a new question. So you just broke your streak there with 3 in a row, and you just broke yours. So we're starting back from the jump, unfortunately. Here we go. In a world of computing, what is the word crypto short for?
Cryptography.
That is correct. Back at 1. What is the name of the algorithm Bitcoin used to hash?
SHA-256.
Ooh, very nice. We're 1 for 1 again. The point in which Bitcoin is used by the majority of the world is known by what term?
Shelling point?
Oh, nope, and nope. What about you, sir?
I don't know.
Brr, brr, brr. Where's my air horse sounds? I got no sound up here. All right, let's start again. What is the first country to make Bitcoin its legal currency?
El Salvador?
That is correct. In which city does the Human Rights Foundation hold its flagship annual event in? I'm sorry, this game is for in the ring. If you would like to step in the ring and bring the chair, please help yourself. However, we got 2 contestants right here. Let's go. Flagship annual event. And say it with me, everybody. Oslo. All righty. It's a tough one here. Who is going to win runner-up and grand prize? Here we go. What is the term of a Bitcoin wallet that is not connected to the internet?
Cold wallet.
That is correct. What is the term of a Bitcoin wallet that is regularly connected to the internet?
Hot wallet.
That's correct. Oh, man. What is the name of the most popular Bitcoin layer 2 protocol used for micro payments?
Lightning Network.
That is correct. We got a 2 for 2. What is DLC short for? Are you gonna ask the audience? Are you gonna phone a friend? What's going on here?
Audience?
Give it a go. DLC.
Downloadable content.
That's not correct. We got a steal, maybe. A steal? You know what it is? All right, give it to me.
Discrete log contract.
That is correct. We got a 3 for 3. Let's see if he can get to 4. What is the popularized amount of confirmations needed by a Bitcoin transaction to assure its permanence in the blockchain? If you got this right, you move on to our final round for 300,000 sats. What is the answer?
I mean, this is kind of a trick question. I'm going to go with 6, but I don't think there is a real answer.
The correct answer is 6 confirmations. We have a winner of our first round. So you stick around for your contender. We're going to get off our next 2 players. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's give a round to our loser here. Good sport here. All right, we're going to call up your next contender. You can take a sweetie pie. I'm going to bring up our next 2, okay? Just hang tight for the final one. You can scoot over, I think. Why not? I'm calling the next numbers. Bring out those pretty orange tickets for me. Let's see. Our next contender, 782036. 782036. Going once. Going twice for 782036. Anybody? Well, you know what my saying is, here for a good time, not a
long time.
Period. Let's keep going. We have 782233. 782233. Anybody? Doesn't look like it. I'm gonna keep on moving. Let me get into the depths of this can here. 782268. 782268. Once again, we're going for 300,000 sats as the grand prize. Lock in, people. 782268. Going once, going twice, no 2s. Let me pick out a winner here. 782008. 782208. No? Once, twice, 3, gone. Woo! 782008. Oh my God! We got a Bitcoin baddie in the building entering the arena. Hold on, let me get my drink for you. Let me get that drink for you, girl, and then I'll get your purse. I'll bring you right up here. Hey, Rosal, yes. Come on in. No way is the wrong way. I would say go under this. Go under this way. Yes, here we go. That was so elegant. Elegant. What is your name, my dear?
Clancy.
Clancy, it is so nice to meet you. Who is going up against Clancy? Let's see. Do we have a 782228? 782228? 1, 2, 3, gone. 782307. 782307. Where you at? Yes, no, maybe so. Too bad. Gone. 782090. 782090. Anybody?
Wait, what?
Check those pretty orange tickets. 782090. Yes? No? 782090. Yes, wonderful. Yes. Hi, what's your name?
Vincent.
Vincent, it's nice to meet you. Maya, take a seat. You both will be battling to see who goes against our reigning champ over here. Are you ready? Once again, you have to get 4 in a row. Okay? In a row. All right, here we go. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. The correct answer is 8. What is SegWit short for? What is SegWit short for? That is your first question. I'm seeing the wheels turn, girl. I'm seeing them.
I don't know.
Do we have? Yeah, give it to us, Vincent.
Segregated witness.
That is correct. That's one on the board for you. Keep track. I have a short-term memory. Sorry, what's your name one more time? I'm kidding. Alrighty, here we go. Next one. What city is PubKey located in?
New York.
That is correct. You got one on the board. Who? You're a quarter of the way there for sure. Who wrote Broken Money? Do you read, Vincent?
Is it Lynn Alden?
Yes, it is. That's 2 for 2. Who wrote The Price of Tomorrow? The Price of Tomorrow. We're in our literature section of the evening. The Price of Tomorrow. Not today, not yesterday. Tomorrow.
It's all running together, guys.
They got more jokes out there than I got in here. Anything, girl?
Not Lynn Alden.
In a way, you're not wrong, but that's not what I'm looking for. What about you, Vincent?
Got no clue.
The correct answer, everyone say it with me. Booth. Yes, Jeff Booth. So I have to reset you. So you will have to score, once again, 4 in a row. Vincent, next one is for you. Who wrote the Bitcoin Standard?
Saifedean.
That is correct. That's 3 for you, right? You got one more, and then you're in the hot seat for the grand. Let's see. Here we go. What was the first software company to add 250K worth of Bitcoin at the time purchased to their balance sheet?
MicroStrategy.
That is correct. Pop up. This will be your final question if you get it right. What is the general amount of time between Bitcoin halving?
210,000 blocks or 4 years.
Oh, 210. You bring out big numbers. Congratulations. You have
He gets
led
extra
on
points
to the
for
grand
saying
finale
210
of
blocks.
this. Thank you so much for trying, my girl. But you look so pretty doing it, I must say. Can we give her a round of applause, please? Hold on, I'm gonna pass you your beverage. I don't want anything spilled. Scoot on down, Vincent. We're gonna do our final round here. Oh my gosh, I love. Look at that. You are so supportive. Thanks for playing. All right, this is our final 2. A reminder what you're winning and what you are going up against. The runner-up will be getting 100,000 in sats. Grand prize, 300,000 in sats. Once again, it is still the first 2 4. Are you both ready? Do you have anyone you want to shout out?
My mom.
Oh my God. I love a mama's boy. I'm sorry. And what about yours? What about yours?
My dad.
Whoa, let's give it up for the father figures. I wish mine was here at all. All right, here we go. We're going to go through our questions. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 15 this time. What's the number? The correct answer is 13. Are we sharing a brain? All right, here we go. Starting with you. Let's see. In what year did the market value of Bitcoin reach $1?
2010.
Nope. I'm hearing some boos in the audience. We have a counter. You could steal.
2011.
2011 is correct. You got one on the board. Next one. It's your turn, by the way. What is the slang term for not selling your Bitcoin? Hodling, that is correct. Right. Do we got what does it mean in the audience? We had a lot of audience participation. Y'all getting real quiet for the definitions of things. All right, we're going to our next question. What is the term for decentralized software applications? Going over to you, sir. Yes, the term for decentralized software applications. That is correct. Heard, chef, heard. What does P2P stand for?
Peer-to-peer.
Correct. What is that? Your second or your third there? Oh, here we go. What is the other half of, oh, that's a repeat. What kind of Bitcoin investment instrument was finally approved in January of 2024?
ETF.
That is correct. A spot ETF. Are y'all tied up now? They are. Thank you. I'm glad someone's paying attention. Somebody get me a drink at the bar because I am losing my mind. We're tied here. Here we go. The next question, I'm switching over to economics. We've all hit all of our Bitcoin questions. So now we're going into econ. Are you ready? I believe in you. Have faith in yourself. Hold yourself. You're in the arena. You're a champion when you're in this. Okay. Thank you. We'll see. We'll see. What does the acronym for ETF stand for?
Exchange.
All right. You're at 4. If he gets it wrong. Oh my God, doll. I was joking. Well, look at the service in here. Tip your bartenders, people. Thank you. If you get this one wrong, he wins. If you get this one right, we go into our ultimate showdown in the arena. No throwing chairs, please. Don't. Here we go. What is the term for tradable financial asset? The term for a tradable financial asset. You're getting crickets. That's my. Not even a guess. Just a guess. Better than nothing. What is the term for tradable financial asset? I'm gonna give you 3 Mississippis, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippis. 3. All right, I'm gonna pass it over. Pass it over. I'll repeat the question one more time. What is the term for tradable financial asset?
Stock or security.
A security is correct, ladies and gentlemen. We have our winner. But don't worry, Vincent, you're not going away empty-handed. Remember, you're going away with 100,000 in sats. Give it up for our competitors here.
Right. I don't know if anybody remembers, I was the guy who tripped over the wire and stopped the sound earlier. Can I get a hell yeah? I wasn't expecting that. You're supposed to boo. This was all because of Zeus. They were able to get together with us and be like, hey, we want to support Samurai Wallet. We want to have some fun doing it because it's really, 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 really bad. And so thank you. I stalled enough time by saying really 20 times to get my man Zach Shapiro. He's going to talk about the peer-to-peer fund between what they're doing and what Zeus is doing. This is a holy alliance that I'm very glad to see. And then, yeah, okay, he went over the ropes. That might be, I don't know, a lawyer term. Is it?
At least I took the stairs. Last time I tried to hop up the back, which was just worse for everyone's dignity involved.
So again, Zeus came on board because we wanted to get behind Samurai Wallet in the peer-to-peer fund. What started that? Why does the peer-to-peer fund exist? And why should we support it?
So the peer-to-peer rights fund, let's start with why it's called the peer-to-peer rights fund. There was a lot of, I guess, never mind. Let's back up a little bit. The peer-to-peer rights fund started in
April of 2024. And there were two things that happened at the time. One was that the developers behind Samurai Wallet were arrested and indicted with unlicensed money transmission, which we can talk about why, but was just such unbelievable bullshit, but really bad. We don't like that, not one bit. And then I got to say, arguably even worse was a filing in a related case called Tornado Cash, which is an Ethereum wallet, and I know we don't like Ethereum, et cetera, but Tornado Cash is a non-custodial tool based on Ethereum. It's a smart contract where the developers who wrote the smart contracts don't have any control or custody of the money that goes through it. And they explained that to the government, and the government said, we still think that you're an unlicensed money transmitter. And I will bet almost any amount of money that the government, now that we know that the same thing happened in Samarwa, the government went to FinCEN and said, hey, do we think, these guys are money transmitters? And FinCEN said no. And the government's like, fuck, how the fuck do we put these guys in prison? Because we really don't like crypto if they're not money transmitters and we can't prove that they money laundered. What are we going to do about it? And what the government came up with is a different theory of what money transmission means, which if you're going to put someone in prison for writing code without knowing they're laundering money, you need to prove that they transmitted money. And under the Bank Secrecy Act, the Bank Secrecy Act says you're a money transmitter if you accept funds and then transmit those funds on behalf of the public as a business. If you think that somewhere between accepting funds and then transmitting funds, maybe you had the funds, I agree with you. But the prosecutors in the Southern District of New York do not. And so they had to come up with a theory about it. And the thing that really spurred the fund is this argument that the government made that they used two analogies. They said a frying pan transmits heat, and they said that a USB cable transmits data, and the frying pan doesn't custody or control the heat, and the USB cable doesn't custody or transmit the data, and yet the heat and the data are respectively transmitted. And I took a look at this and I, thought two things. One, this fight, people are going to think that this is a fight about privacy, and privacy is really important. Like we do want privacy. I made a joke earlier tonight that's not so much a joke, that if there's someone in Bitcoin who's trying to offer privacy, I'm probably already their lawyer. I think that's really important. But the fight's so much bigger than that. Aside from privacy, if the idea is that all you have to do is somehow facilitate obliquely the transmission of other people's funds, like if a frying pan can transmit heat, then if you think for a minute about who in the Bitcoin ecosystem is vulnerable, you very quickly get to the correct answer, which is everyone. The logic that the government employs to say that a frying pan transmits heat, if the frying pan transmits, and you don't ask, okay, there's not like a person, it's just a thing can transmit heat, then what about the timber company that chops down the tree, that makes the paper, that makes the envelope that one criminal uses to hand cash to another criminal? Should they have gone to prison for not KYCing the people who use their envelopes? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. What about people who run an at-home node, right? If your node broadcasts transactions to the blockchain, you're facilitating the movement of people's funds on Bitcoin. Let's throw in jail all the node runners. What about miners? Miners append transactions to the blockchain. They find the nonce that queues up the transaction that makes sure that funds get from point A to point B. Sounds a lot like facilitating transmission. Let's throw miners in jail. What about lightning routing nodes? What about federated eCashments? What about cashew mints? What about, apologies, I'm going to go into some disturbing territory. What about roll-ups and L2s and DAOs and sequencers? I know, I'm heresy. But anyway, if you wanted to ban crypto in the United States, the best way to do that is to reach the conclusion that everyone's a money transmitter. And by the way, don't take it from me. The best person to explain this to you is the person who most wants to ban Bitcoin and crypto in the United States, our Senator Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts, who really actually, to her credit, really super understands this stuff. And she realized it was not politically popular to just ban Bitcoin outright. And so she came out with a bill called the Digital Asset Anti-Money Laundering Act, or DAMLA, which is, she gallingly described to all of her Democratic colleagues as a light touch regulation, just to make sure that we don't have, child pornography and terrorism and on the blockchain. And instead, it's a Bitcoin ban. And how is it a Bitcoin ban? It explicitly names all of the parties I just talked about, node runners, miners, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and says you're all money transmitters. And of course, if you run a node, you don't know who the fuck transactions are going through your node. If you're a miner, you don't know, right? And so this is an effective ban on actually using Bitcoin in the United States. Probably the only thing that is left to be legal, if you were to pass something like DAMLA, is owning, custodial Bitcoin through iBit or something like that. And I gather from the fact that all of you are at this event that that's probably not the way you want things to go. And so, look, thankfully, that has not gotten a lot of traction. But what I would say about this faction of, and look, I grew up in D.C., New York. To my shame, I'm a lifetime registered Democrat. Specifically, a faction I know. You please boo me. Yes. Specifically, a faction of the Democratic Party is they are actually trying to kill Bitcoin, and I thought this was dead until something I thought I didn't need to care about, which is the Genius Act, which is a stablecoin bill. And right now, it is going through what's called the amendment process. And if the Genius Act fails, I will bet a very large amount of money that the reason it will fail is because the Elizabeth Warren wing of the Democratic Party is going to put a poison pill in that bill that applies essentially the same rules as DAMLA, essentially the same theory from Tornado Cash and Samurai Wallet to non-custodial technology. And to their credit, the Republicans will not vote for that. But this is absolutely a live issue. And all this to say, my one really sort of political thing I want to push, and I know all of you hate politics, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, okay. But there is the long-term fix here, because if we get a president like Elizabeth Warren or AOC or people who hate us, the really convenient weapon they have is to say that we're all money transmitters. And there is a legal argument, unfortunately, still open to make that argument. And that really just is a Bitcoin ban that doesn't sound like a Bitcoin ban. And that's super fucking dangerous. And the way to forestall that from happening for the indefinite future is a law called the Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act, or the BRCA. I may not have any social capital, but probably some of you have heard of Matt Corallo. He's, to his credit, yeah, save our wallets. He is starting a campaign on this issue. And while I am working to help solve this in the courts, which is, I think, an important and immediate fix that needs to happen, the only long-term fix that's viable and on the table is the BRCA. I wish I actually knew the website. That's pretty embarrassing. I don't. But if you Google Save Our Wallets, you'll probably find Matt Corallo's website. That's the bill that we need to pass. And otherwise, the developers might go to jail. So the Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act, more important than stablecoins, more important than market structure. Please don't tell the rest of the people at BPI, but also more important than the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. Please keep our developers out of prison.
The website is saveourwallets.org. Saveourwallets.org.
What I got from that is the internet is our voice. Bitcoin is our voice. The peer-to-peer fund says, don't fuck with our voice. It says, don't fuck with the samurai. And it says you can't even fuck with Zeus if you wanted to. So we're going to take an 8-minute break. And guess what? We got Bitcoin wrestling! Woo! So grab a drink. We'll see y'all in 8 minutes.
So, now if you do want to get in a ring, we have some fun shit that we're going to do at the end of the show. So you guys get involved and make midgets great again. Yes, we use the word midgets. Because this is midget fucking wrestling. It don't sound the same if you call it dwarf wrestling, am I right? It don't sound the same if you call it little people wrestling. Because it's midget wrestling. You know who does not give a fuck about the midget word? The midget wrestlers. If you're short and you have a problem with it, let me know and you can talk to our midgets. It's gonna be a fun show. I had no fucking clue about Bitcoin, but I'll tell you one thing, I fucking do now. God damn. We just changed our whole payment method. It's all just Bitcoin now. Bitcoin right there. So we take Bitcoin, but if it's okay tonight, I haven't set it up yet. You know, it takes a little work. So cash is a little better for us tonight. Anyway, then guys, this is Micromedia Midget Wrestler. We have millions of fucking followers online. Thank you guys for supporting us. At the end of this night, whether you like us or whether you hate us, it doesn't fucking matter either way because we're gonna give you guys the best fucking time you've ever had at this time frame on this date. Has to be better than. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, do we have any? Before we get the show started, I guess we have some commentators. You can tell by the mask that they're fucking virgins. Or that real famous luchador tag team called El Peachy Gringos. Either way. So I guess they're still getting ready, but this is gonna be it's gonna be one of the best times, I promise you guys. Thank you guys for having us. We have a residency, by the way, so we're here 4 or 5 shows a week. We've been doing it for over a fucking year. We have, if you guys aren't from Vegas, we have 500 shows scheduled this year alone. So if you guys want to check us out, that's not inside this little room. We're over all the United States. And okay? I'm trying to, as you can tell, I'm trying to waste time. I'm trying to talk to you. Now, what do you guys call Mexican midgets? A paragraph, because it's too short to be an essay. We're gonna fuck with people, that's what we do. Okay? We're gonna tell midget jokes. We're gonna tell other fucking jokes. In fact, who's here? How long are you guys here? All week, right? They got some crazy fucking strip clubs here in town. There's a paraplegic strip club I went to the other day. It was crawling pussy. Hey, told you we're gonna fuck with people. Who's? I don't know. They might have a mechanical penis. What? Is ready for it? Yeah. Oh yeah. Fucking. You know, with that mask, they expect you guys to speak Spanish, by the way. Okay. See, he just said he was gay. Good. He just said he was gay. That's good. Okay. Oh, this lady just walked in with an airplane skirt because you can see right up the cockpit. Ken, you guys can stand over there if you want. Just watch the cord, yeah. But by the way, that bleacher fits 50 more people. If you guys want to do it, okay? That dude that's awkward, that's your fucking crew. That's up to you, fuck. Got it? By the way, I was dating a midget woman for many fucking years and she broke up with me out of nowhere. Fucking bitch. But she was nuts over me though. I was nuts over her actually. fucking louder now. If you're ready for midget wrestling, give me a fuck yeah. Introducing first, he is one of our referees tonight. Who's ready for your first match? Introducing our referee for this matchup, all the way from Honolulu, Hawaii. He is First bid. Now listen up. It's going to be hardcore rules, ladies and gentlemen. So if they come your way, you better move or your ankles are going to pay. If you When I say micro, you say mania, micro. When I say bid, you... By the way, who wants to take a midget home tonight? Raise your hands. We have half price specials. I believe she was saying cigarettes. 2 count. Cigarettes. Oh wait. Too soon. Right here. One more time. Let's go, Tito. Fucking gonna run on a stand. Oh! What a reverse by a little fucking chihuahua. Huddle's telling Dieter is. Throwing Huddle back in the cage. He's trying. American Huddle's in the corner, but he has the history of American glory at his side. Dieter. Everything. It's flagging. He's ready to go. American Idol's looking for what he's going to do next. Oh my God! He took a blunder. U.S. troops. This is worse than Vietnam. This is worse than. Oh my God! Where's Max Kaiser? He'd be celebrating right now.
This is literally what our banking system does to us on a daily basis.
American Idol has to pick this up.
This will happen to you on a regular basis.
On the reverse of theater, Peter distracted by this one time he's getting engagement on Twitter. Oh God!
And theaters.
Peter learning firsthand how large Funnel's dick is. What has he got left? The ankle biter is coming back.
He just neutered him, just like they're neutering us with all the chemicals.
Obviously, he didn't use his jack-off arm.
American Idol, he's showing us that insane bull posting on Twitter.
This is incredible. This is like a world. Where did it go?
Nothing's more embarrassing than the Biden presidency.
This is second. Rachel, to begin
And Peter just said that you'll never keep the black man down.
the ankle biter is looking like he's running out of steam.
And he just said that your TA and your bull posting is straight trash. I was in this since Bitcoin was $47.
Chance to have the biggest victory since the spaces went. Oh!
Calls this move twist his dick. Twist his dick. Twist his dick. Twist his. American Hollow, he predictable. Takes it to the ground. 1, 2, 3. Let's go! Once Are you having a good fucking time? I can't hear you. Are you having a good fucking time? What do you call gay midget? Sweet and low. Here's a good one for, what do you guys call a group of transgender women? X-Men. You guys are ready for your next match? Give me a fuck yeah. Introducing his opponent.
three, once again, Mini Kahuna. Introducing next, from Mexico City, Mexico, 5 foot 1 inches tall. This is La Parquita, aka Luke Gas.
He's a Nazi.
Who's a Corby next? Raise your hand if you want all the no's to be raised.
Introducing his opponent, he's a Lucha Libre legend. AKA Peter Todd.
Get up for Satoshi.
I'm excited for Satoshi.
Now,
why we're all here.
the bell.
I have no business being on the network. Are you ready, RBF? I'm not gonna lie, because all these bitches kind of look alike. Oh, Peter's alive. His life matters.
He doesn't believe the Pope is legitimate. He doesn't believe Satoshi's legitimate. He has no respect. Satoshi's not out of this one.
No.
Reversal by Satoshi. Ref checking if both fighters okay. Battle of the Nibs is continuing. They'll be filtered. But what a reversal by Todd! Oh, now! In the words of Shinobi, I was HBO's Satoshi is true. Fuck, that's not the reason. He's attacking at the Columbus. He's getting cocky.
No, he's angry. He's upset.
Winner of this match is essentially gold.
On Twitter Space.
Somebody check the open timestamps on this one. That seemed like. Go on to the trash can. Garbage man. This is the garbage man attack.
No, these timestamps really are absolute garbage. You're not. The only thing you should be using the Bitcoin network for is sending Bitcoin to people.
This is why you wait for free conference.
Because the idea of putting timestamps on Bitcoin is absolute garbage. Oh!
Attack the fence! Take it up the left! Blue says he's gonna. The biggest reversal yet. No longer is he compromised by the feds. He's taken action into his own hands. The communists are furious.
Looks like Satoshi is down. What will happen? What will happen? There you go. Nobody escaped. Who needs Bitcoin?
And we'll get back up and taking back control over people.
While you're down there, I'll jump. Get in the ring, go wrestle, don't jump around. Oh, is that for you? Hold on. Who's that mic for? You? Sorry, you owe me 20. $20. You have a Bitcoin jersey. You have somebody else. It's probably not cash. Get in there. Who else wants to do it? Get over here. We have a few more. Now get against the ring, you guys. Get against the ring. Do not wrestle. You guys get across the ropes over there. $20 cash. Don't push up. Back to your fucking seat. Jesus Christ. $20 cash. Last time I seen legs like that, they were crawling out of a fucking nest. That's bird legs, motherfucker. Oh, you're dropping your money. There we go. Good to get away. Anybody else? Let us know. Anybody else? Last chance. Anybody else? Who's the last chance? Okay. Get off the fucking road. Just hold that. Okay, this is what you guys chose. I need you guys to get on your knees so you know what it looks like to be a midget. Apparently, I believe some of you guys have been in this position before, I could tell. So, you guys paid to get hit by a midget tonight. These are pants. You're going to get hit in the head or the ass. You get to choose. We're going to call you one at a time. What's your name? What's that? Hey, head or ass? Head. Where are you from? Pennsylvania. Go back to your fucking seat. Go back to your seat. Where you going? Huh? Head or ass, by the way. Head. Okay, here we go. 1, 2. Yes, that's good. Hey, Ben.
We're flying to that pool.
Introduce. Introduce the next mini Harley. Introducing next, we got Mini Toronto. We got La Partita. Now listen up, this is going to be pinfall submissions only. We must have a winner tonight. Las Vegas, if you're ready for your main event, give me a fuck yeah.
Here we go, the men pool's clock. Here goes slamming it in. Con falls out of the ring. Here, Luke Dax are taking turns on American Hollow. This is revenge for accidentals.
No, absolutely. They're mad that, like, look, you can't get people to 10x their entire fortune and portfolio on Bitcoin.
American Hollow's the first one.
I gotta get rid of the black guy first. Because again, it's a symbol of like our white supremacist culture here in America. But that's okay. Still got a 10 extra funds. Bitcoin's going to $1 million. That's what American Hollow says. So let's
Negotiating.
Big part on the blockchain, even though it has nothing to do with Bitcoin.
This is the revenge for all the bullshit we're Spinax is exposed.
System. Oh!
Now we're going to rematch of the Hobbs versus Coordination. Satoshi.
You guys, we're going to do a group photo. If you want a group photo with the midgets, they're going to hang out on the ringside here in a few minutes. All we do is ask pictures for tips. So if you guys want a picture coming over here, pictures for tips. More tits. But if you look around the crowd, there's not very many of those. Female, at least. Did you guys have a good fucking time? Anyway, pictures for tips. If you guys want a picture, thank you. I'll take your photo if you guys want me to. I'll take a photo of you guys. There you go. I'll take a photo of you guys.
Yeah.